Welcome to my channel Old Valuable Chiller. Today we are deep diving into fascinating story. The 1966 United States $quarter coin is one of the most fascinating coins for collectors, historians, and numismatic enthusiasts. When people talk about American coinage from the 1960s, the 1966 quarter always comes into the conversation because of its history, its unique composition, and the transition period in which it was minted. If you are searching for information about the 1966 quarter, its value, its history, and its importance in United States coinage, then this deep dive will give you everything you need to know. The 1966 quarter features the profile of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan, which has been the standard for Washington quarters since 1932. The coin was minted at a time when the United States Mint was making major changes in coin composition, especially due to the rising cost of silver. Prior to 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But starting in 1965, the United States Mint shifted to a clad composition, using copper and nickel instead of silver. The 1966 quarter, therefore, is a clad coin, with a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This transition is a key reason why the 1966 quarter is so significant. Collectors often seek these coins as an example of how the mint adjusted to economic pressures and changed American coinage forever. It was part of the Coinage Act of 1965, which eliminated silver from dimes and quarters, while reducing silver content in half dollars. So, the 1966 quarter stands as a symbol of the era when silver coinage was disappearing from circulation. Another notable detail about the 1966 quarter is that it carries no mint mark. Normally, coins struck at different mints would show a letter to indicate their origin, like a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. However, from 1965 through 1967, the United States Mint decided to remove mint marks from all coins. This was done deliberately to discourage coin hoarding during the transition away from silver. As a result, all 1966 quarters look the same regardless of where they were minted, and collectors cannot distinguish the mint of origin. In terms of mintage, the production numbers were very high. The mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins to ensure there was enough coinage in circulation, since many people were hoarding older silver quarters. Because of this large mintage, most 1966 quarters are considered common. For collectors today, a circulated 1966 quarter is usually worth its face value of 25 cents. However, in higher grades, especially uncirculated examples with strong luster and minimal contact marks, the value can be higher. Grading plays a major role here, with mint state examples often fetching more from dedicated collectors. There are also certain rare varieties and errors that make some 1966 quarters more desirable. Collectors look for striking errors, off-center strikes, double-die varieties, or coins struck on the wrong planchet. Such mint errors can significantly increase the value of a 1966 quarter, sometimes turning an ordinary coin into one worth much more than face value. For example, an off-center 1966 quarter or one with a strong double-die obverse could attract considerable attention in numismatic markets. From a historical perspective, the 1966 quarter captures the story of America in the mid-1960s. It was the height of the silver shortage, the country was experiencing cultural change, and the coinage system was adapting to modern economic realities. Holding a 1966 quarter is like holding a piece of that history. Even though it doesn't have silver content, it still has importance as part of the Washington Quarter series. For collectors building a complete set of Washington quarters, the 1966 issue is essential. While it may not be rare in general circulation condition, finding a pristine, high-grade example can be a challenge, especially because these clad coins often develop scratches, wear, or dull toning over time. That is why coin collectors pay attention to preservation and storage, using protective holders to keep the coin surfaces intact. When discussing value, the average circulated 1966 quarter is generally worth only a small premium over face value, unless it has an error. Uncirculated coins can range higher, and certified high-grade examples can reach several dollars or more depending on demand. While it is not a silver coin, and therefore doesn't carry intrinsic bullion value, its collectible interest lies in its role in U.S. coinage history. Another detail collectors sometimes explore is the edge of the coin. Like all modern clad quarters, the edge of the 1966 quarter is reeded and shows a copper color because of the exposed copper core. This is one way to distinguish it easily from pre-1965 silver quarters, which have a solid silver edge instead of the copper-colored one. The Washington Quarter series as a whole is one of the most popular series in U.S. numismatics, and the 1966 coin is right in the middle of that history. It represents the era when the mint shifted production to meet the nation's needs. Even though the design stayed consistent, the composition change makes it a milestone coin. If you are a collector, you might wonder whether to keep 1966 quarters in your collection. The answer depends on your goals. If you are building a complete date set, you need it. If you are interested in errors, searching through rolls of 1966 quarters could potentially yield some exciting finds. Even though most are common, the thrill of discovering an unusual mint error keeps collectors searching. In the broader coin market, the 1966 quarter doesn't command extremely high prices, but its importance makes it a favorite among beginner and intermediate collectors. It's also a coin that people often find in their change and wonder if it has special value. For most, it's a reminder of the history of American coinage, showing how even a simple 25-cent piece can carry a story of economic change, government policy, and cultural transition. The story of the 1966 quarter is not just about metal content or design. It's also about how everyday objects, like the coins we use in daily transactions, reflect larger events in history. The silver shortage, the Coinage Act, and the decision to remove mint marks all converge in this single coin. That's why numismatists, historians, and everyday coin hunters find it fascinating. First up, welcome to this detailed discussion about the 1967 quarter-dollar coin from the United States, a fascinating piece of American numismatic history that continues to attract collectors, historians, and coin enthusiasts. The 1967 quarter is part of the Washington Quarter series, which has been one of the most collected and widely recognized coins in the country. In this video, we will explore everything about the 1967 quarter, including its background, historical significance, metal composition, design details, mintage numbers, collector value, errors, and varieties, and why it remains a popular collectible coin today. If you are interested in US coins, rare coin values, or simply learning about the history behind American currency, this coin offers plenty to discover. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. By 1967, the Washington Quarter had already been in circulation for over 3 decades, but this particular year carries special meaning. The mid-1960s were a transitional period for U.S. coinage because of changes in metal content, minting policies, and collector interest. The 1967 quarter dollar reflects these changes in a unique way. Prior to 1965, quarters were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, but starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a clad composition to remove silver from circulating coinage. Therefore, the 1967 quarter is made of a copper-nickel clad composition with an inner core of pure copper and outer layers of copper-nickel. This change was important for the economy, as rising silver prices made it unsustainable for the government to continue striking circulating coins in silver. The 1967 quarter represents that new era of modern clad coinage in the United States. When examining the design of the 1967 quarter, we see that the obverse features a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. The word liberty appears above Washington's head, the motto "In God We Trust" is placed to the left, and the date 1967 is inscribed at the bottom. On the reverse, the coin depicts a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches below, symbolizing strength and peace. The inscriptions United States of America and E Pluribus Unum appear above the eagle, while quarter dollar is shown at the bottom. This classic design remained on the quarter until the state quarters program began in 1999. For collectors, the 1967 quarter represents one of the last issues before any major design changes to the Washington quarter. Another unique feature of the 1967 quarter is the fact that coins from this year do not carry a mint mark. During the years 1965 through 1967, the U.S. Mint suspended the use of mint marks on all coins. This decision was made to discourage coin hoarding by collectors during a period when the nation was experiencing coin shortages. As a result, all 1967 quarters look the same regardless of whether they were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. For collectors, this lack of mint marks makes it more challenging to know the exact mint of origin, but it also makes the 1967 quarter an easily recognizable issue from this transitional era. Now let's talk about the mintage numbers and availability. The 1967 Washington quarter had an extremely high mintage, with over 1.5 billion coins struck for circulation. Because of this massive production, the 1967 quarter is not considered rare in circulated condition, and most examples are still worth only face value in everyday circulated grades. However, the value increases for coins in uncirculated condition, especially those with high mint state grades. Collectors often seek out 1967 quarters in MS65, MS66, and MS67 grades, where prices can rise significantly depending on the condition and eye appeal. For instance, a high-quality gem uncirculated 1967 quarter with strong luster, no distracting marks, and good strike details can bring a premium at auction or from collectors looking to complete their Washington quarter sets. In addition to circulation strikes, the U.S. Mint also issued special mint sets in 1967, which contained higher quality strikes of coins without being official proof coins. These special mint sets, often called SMS coins, were issued from 1965 through 1967 as a replacement for proof sets. The 1967 SMS quarter is of particular interest to collectors because it often exhibits better strike quality, smoother surfaces, and sometimes a cameo contrast between the frosted design and mirrored fields. These SMS quarters can be highly collectible, especially in higher grades with deep cameo or ultra cameo designations. Collectors should always look closely at 1967 SMS quarters for these special attributes, as they can be much more valuable than regular business strike coins. Error coins and varieties are another area where the 1967 quarter attracts attention. Like many coins of this period, there are examples of off-center strikes, double die obverse or reverse varieties, clipped planchets, and other minting errors. Some of these errors can command strong prices, especially if they are dramatic or visually appealing. For example, a 1967 quarter with a noticeable off-center strike or double die variety may sell for much more than face value, depending on rarity and condition. Collectors of error coins are always on the lookout for such unique pieces, making the 1967 quarter a coin that is worth examining carefully. From a historical perspective, the 1967 quarter reflects the changing times of American coinage. The mid-1960s coin shortage, the removal of silver, and the transition to clad coinage all shaped the coins we use today. The Washington quarter remained a staple of U.S. currency, and coins like the 1967 issue serve as a reminder of that transitional period. Many people who grew up in the 1960s and 1970s remember these coins well, and for them, the 1967 quarter may also hold nostalgic value beyond its numismatic worth. For modern collectors, the 1967 quarter is widely available and affordable, making it an excellent coin for beginners. It allows collectors to own a piece of history without spending a fortune. At the same time, high-grade mint state examples, SMS issues, and error varieties offer exciting opportunities for advanced collectors who want to pursue rare and valuable pieces. Whether you are a beginner learning about Washington quarters or an advanced numismatist searching for top-quality coins, the 1967 quarter has something to offer. In terms of current market value, circulated 1967 quarters are generally worth their face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated mint state examples can range from a couple of dollars up to hundreds of dollars depending on grade. SMS coins with cameo or deep cameo contrast can fetch even higher premiums, and rare error coins may be worth significantly more. Collectors should always check auction results, coin dealer listings, and grading service reports to get an accurate sense of the current value of a specific 1967 quarter. Next up, the 1971 United States $quarter coin is one of the most fascinating pieces of American coinage from the 20th century, and in this video we will be exploring everything about the 1971 quarter, its history, its design, its composition, its background, and the reasons why collectors and coin enthusiasts around the world pay close attention to this particular $quarter coin. When we talk about a 1971 quarter, we are talking about a coin minted in the United States during a very significant period in American history, a time when coinage was transitioning from silver into copper-nickel clad compositions, and the designs we see on the 1971 quarter reflect both tradition and change in American numismatic heritage. The 1971 $quarter features the familiar obverse portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan in 1932. This portrait has remained iconic for decades, and it symbolizes the enduring legacy of America's first president. The obverse carries the word liberty at the top, the phrase "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date 1971 at the bottom. For anyone holding a 1971 $quarter coin in their hand, these inscriptions connect the coin to both American ideals and the tradition of circulating coinage. The reverse of the 1971 quarter features the heraldic eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches beneath it. The words United States of America and E pluribus unum appear above, while the denomination $quarter is inscribed at the bottom. This reverse design, used for decades, links the 1971 quarter to earlier and later issues, making it a coin of continuity in the history of U.S. coinage. The composition of the 1971 quarter is important for collectors and historians. Unlike earlier quarters that contained 90% silver, the 1971 quarter is made of copper-nickel clad, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This composition change happened after 1964, when silver was removed from circulating quarters due to rising silver prices. The 1971 quarter, therefore, represents a modern era of U.S. coinage, where durability, cost efficiency, and widespread production became the key goals of the United States Mint. In terms of mintage, millions of 1971 quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, and some were produced at the San Francisco Mint in proof form. The Philadelphia coins do not carry a mint mark, the Denver coins bear a D mint mark, and the San Francisco proof quarters have an S mint mark. These varieties give collectors multiple options when building a collection of 1971 quarter-dollar coins. The Philadelphia mintage exceeded over 100 million, while Denver's output was similarly massive, meaning that circulation strikes are generally common. However, condition plays a very important role. A 1971 quarter in heavily circulated condition may only be worth face value, but coins in uncirculated mint state condition, especially those with high grades from professional grading services, can command much higher values. Proof versions, with their mirror-like fields and frosted designs, are especially prized by collectors. Collectors of the 1971 quarter also look for errors and varieties. Like many other coins of the era, the 1971 quarter can feature striking errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or coins struck on wrong planchets. These minting mistakes can transform an ordinary 1971 quarter into a highly valuable collectible, sometimes worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and demand. For example, a 1971 quarter struck on a silver planchette from leftover stock, though extremely rare, would be considered a treasure in the numismatic community. The historical context of the 1971 quarter also adds depth to its story. In 1971, the United States was going through significant changes politically, socially, and economically. It was the year the U.S. officially left the gold standard under President Richard Nixon, which had a lasting impact on American currency and economic policy. The quarter circulating during this period became part of everyday transactions in grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines, and payphones. Millions of Americans handled 1971 quarters without realizing that decades later, collectors would study them, analyze them, and preserve them in albums, holders, and slabs. For coin collectors today, the 1971 quarter-dollar coin represents more than just 25 cents of face value. It represents history, design artistry, and the evolution of U.S. money. Collectors often seek uncirculated rolls of 1971 quarters, mint sets that include Philadelphia and Denver examples, or proof sets from San Francisco that showcase the coin in pristine form. Many enthusiasts also search circulation, checking pocket change or coin rolls, hoping to find a high-grade example or a rare variety that stands out. When evaluating the value of a 1971 quarter, several factors come into play: condition, mint mark, rarity of error, and overall demand. Circulated examples are almost always worth face value, but uncirculated mint state coins, particularly those graded MS-65 or higher, can bring in several dollars or more. Proof coins with deep cameo contrast are also highly desirable. Rare error coins can dramatically increase in value. For instance, a double die obverse or a major off-center strike can attract strong bids in coin auctions. This makes the 1971 quarter an exciting coin for treasure hunting in both circulation and collections. From an investment standpoint, the 1971 United States quarter dollar is not considered a high-value rarity in typical form, but it does hold long-term potential as part of complete Washington quarter collections. Collectors assembling sets from 1932 through the modern state quarters often require the 1971 quarter, making it an essential piece of numismatic history. For educational purposes, it also demonstrates the post-silver era of American coinage, giving younger collectors a hands-on connection to monetary history. The popularity of the Washington Quarter series ensures that the 1971 issue will always have relevance. While common in number, the coin still sparks curiosity due to its vintage date, its place in American history, and the possibility of uncovering hidden treasures in the form of minting errors. Whether you are a beginner in coin collecting or a seasoned numismatist, the 1971 quarter has something to offer. Its design remains classic, its history remains fascinating, and its collectability remains strong. As we reflect on the significance of the 1971 quarter-dollar coin, we see how it ties together American heritage, artistry, and daily life. Every coin tells a story, and the story of the 1971 quarter is about transition, tradition, and timeless value. It is a coin that circulated through countless hands, carried in pockets, saved in jars, and eventually discovered by collectors who appreciate its role in the tapestry of American currency. Holding a 1971 quarter is like holding a small piece of US history, reminding us that even the most common coins have deeper meaning when studied carefully. So whether you are examining the obverse portrait of George Washington, analyzing the reverse eagle design, researching mint marks, or searching for errors, the 1971 quarter-dollar coin stands out as a collectible worth knowing about. Now we will explore the 1972 quarter-dollar coin from the United States is a fascinating piece of American numismatic history. This quarter, minted more than 50 years ago, is part of the Washington Quarter series, which began in 1932 and continues to this day. Collectors and coin enthusiasts are always eager to learn about the details, features, and potential value of the 1972 quarter. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced collector, understanding the background, mint marks, design, and condition of the 1972 quarter is essential when evaluating this coin. The obverse of the 1972 quarter dollar features the familiar portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. This portrait, created by sculptor John Flanagan, shows Washington facing left, with the word liberty above his head and the national motto "In God We Trust" to the left side. The date 1972 is placed at the bottom of the coin. This design had already been in use for several decades, but each year brings its own mint variations, potential errors, and historical context, which makes the 1972 quarter an exciting subject for collectors. On the reverse of the 1972 quarter dollar, you find the heraldic eagle design, also crafted by John Flanagan. The eagle is shown with its wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath it, symbolizing the balance between war and peace. The words United States of America are inscribed above the eagle, along with the denomination quarter dollar below. This design was in circulation from 1932 until 1998, when the state quarters program began. Because the 1972 quarter falls within that classic design period, it remains a collectible piece of US coinage. When examining the 1972 quarter, one of the first details to note is the mint mark. These coins were struck at different US mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Quarters minted in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, quarters from Denver carry a small D mint mark, and proof coins from San Francisco carry an S mint mark. Each mint location contributes to the rarity and desirability of the coin. For collectors, the presence or absence of a mint mark can affect the overall demand for the 1972 quarter dollar coin. The composition of the 1972 quarter is another important detail. By this time, US quarters were no longer struck in 90% silver, as had been the case prior to 1965. Instead, the 1972 quarter is made from a copper-nickel clad composition, with an outer layer of copper and nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This means the 1972 quarter does not contain silver, and its base metal content is worth only a small fraction of its face value. However, collectors do not value the 1972 quarter for its metal content, but rather for its condition, rarity, and potential errors. Error coins are among the most fascinating aspects of collecting quarters from 1972. Like with many other years of US coinage, mistakes during the minting process sometimes created unique varieties. These can include doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and weak strikes. For example, a 1972 quarter with a doubled die obverse, where the date or lettering shows doubling under magnification, can be worth significantly more than a regular example. Error coins from 1972 can command premium prices, especially if they are in uncirculated condition or certified by grading companies. Speaking of condition, the grade of a 1972 quarter is critical when determining its value. Circulated examples are very common and usually only worth their face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated 1972 quarters, especially those with sharp strikes, full details, and no wear, are more desirable. Collectors often seek out mint state coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional services. Proof coins from 1972, minted in San Francisco with mirror-like surfaces, are another area of interest. A 1972 proof quarter in pristine condition adds a touch of elegance to any coin collection. In terms of historical significance, the 1972 quarter dollar represents the post-silver era of American coinage. By this time, Americans were accustomed to the copper-nickel-clad coinage that had replaced silver in circulating coins. The design continuity of the Washington quarter offered familiarity, while the broader economic changes of the era remind us why silver was removed from regular quarters. The 1972 quarter therefore captures a specific moment in U.S. history, both economically and numismatically. Collectors often ask about the current value of the 1972 quarter dollar. For most circulated examples, the value remains at 25 cents. However, uncirculated examples and error varieties can sell for much more. Depending on the condition, rarity, and demand, certain 1972 quarters may reach several dollars or more on the collector's market. Proof examples, especially deep cameo proofs, are also valued higher than regular circulation strikes. The true worth of a 1972 quarter ultimately depends on its grade, mint mark, and whether or not it has a unique error. When handling a 1972 quarter dollar, it's important to take proper care. Using cotton gloves or holding the coin by its edges prevents fingerprints and scratches. Storing the coin in protective holders or albums helps preserve its condition. Many collectors enjoy building complete sets of Washington quarters, and the 1972 quarter plays an important role in completing a collection from the clad era. Whether you find one in your pocket change or acquire one from a coin dealer, adding a 1972 quarter can be both rewarding and educational. The 1972 quarter is also a great way for new collectors to start learning about U.S. coinage. It is affordable, widely available, and offers opportunities to explore mint marks, conditions, and even mint errors. For seasoned collectors, rare varieties, and high-grade examples keep the pursuit engaging. Every coin tells a story, and the 1972 quarter is no exception. It represents not only the image of George Washington and the ideals of the United States, but also the everyday commerce of the American people in the early 1970s. In conclusion, the 1972 quarter dollar coin from the United States is a remarkable piece of numismatic history. From its copper-nickel-clad composition and mint marks to its potential errors and collectible proof versions, the 1972 quarter offers something for every collector. While most examples remain worth face value, uncirculated, proof, and error coins carry added value and intrigue. Whether you are holding onto a circulated 1972 quarter from your pocket change or searching for a high-grade mint state example, this coin continues to capture the interest of collectors worldwide. The Washington Quarter series is one of the most beloved in American history, and the 1972 quarter is a proud part of that legacy.